This is Simon Wu with GameDistiller Productions, and I'm here with the lovely Miss Ashley Jenkins, dressed today, of course, regaling us with her presence as Lady X-Ray.
I'm Lady X-Ray today, yeah.
Excellent. So, first of all, could you just give us a brief overview of how the past year has been, working as executive producer of The Know? It was started just about a year ago, and already you've seen tremendous growth, I think. Over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube and 15 million views. That must be insane.
Yeah, so it was. It's been a wild ride. We started at PAX last year, end of August. So we've been going for about 10 months, all up, which is crazy. Does not seem remotely that long, actually. We started off doing daily video updates for video game news, and it so quickly grew beyond any of our wildest ambitions for the show. That we started to get greedy, and we decided, what else would we like to cover? We'd like to cover movies and TV and all that stuff. I'm a huge Whovian, and so there were all these announcements coming about the new Doctor and all this, and I just thought, I wish there was a place that we could cover that sort of stuff, and so we started The Know, and branched out. In addition to doing video game news, we also do movies and TV, and instead of doing it daily, we do updates throughout the day so that they're new and fresh and happening. and it's been a lot of fun. We launched in March, relaunched, and we've just passed 300,000 subscribers, which is really exciting. We're doing 1 million views a week, which is also really, really exciting. And we've in that short time, we've already come back up to where we were with the relaunch, because we moved to a completely new channel with no built-in audience. So it was a risky move, and we were all a little bit nervous about it, but excited as well. And it's really it's already paid off. We're really excited about it.
Fantastic. So what was the idea behind the inception of The Know for you to kind of broadcast your passion and a love of TV and movies? Mm-hmm. Because the rest of the company is largely focused on entertainment, and on that majority being video games. Yeah, well, the interesting thing is, while a lot of the company isn't for video games, Achievement Hunter in particular, and most of the people at the company are gamers, it's far from the only thing that anyone at the company is interested in. People who play games, they watch movies, they like movies, we like the Avengers. We like all the TV and Community and, Doctor Who. What's up? Exterminate.
And so, this is just another outlet for that particular passion for all of us, really. We love games, but we also love entertainment in general. I mean, we're making a movie, so we're much, much more than video games.
And in that, has the rest of the company really given you the license to go and expand and experiment and do whatever you want? How light or heavy has the touch from kind of the, hard to imagine as RT corporate?
I'm going to tell them you said that. No, everyone's been really, really supportive. We pull in a lot of different people from Rooster Teeth occasionally to help us host videos and mix it up a little bit, and especially talk about the things that they're really excited about. For example, Brandon is just an enormous Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan. So when they announced that they were doing a whole new thing, we brought him in to talk about that, because who's the expert? Brandon's the expert. And so everyone's been really supportive that way. And we're a small team, so we try not to bite off more than we can chew. So we try things, smaller things one at a time, and just sort of see how they go. And that's been just a sort of tenet of Rooster Teeth for a very long time. And we launched the patch. We didn't have a name for it. We just called it the Rooster Teeth Game Hour. We didn't have anything special for it. We just set up on another set and went, hey, we're talking about games now. But a lot of that production value is something that we just built in over time, as long as we know that the content is solid. So that's what we focus on first, and then focus on getting the other fancy stuff. Gotcha.
And you just mentioned it right there, a very small team, and you have right now a lot of crossover with the rest of the other productions that RT is doing. Do you foresee The Know ever expanding with your own staff and reaching a point where it becomes kind of this third part of Rooster Teeth, how in the way Achievement Hunter has been, where it was kind of, they had Jeff and then Jack doing some game stuff, and they were also contributing to the podcast, but now it's literally the 7 of them with their own panel doing their own thing.
Yeah, well, in the last couple of months, we have grown from 1, and then in March, when we relaunched as The Know, we also brought on an associate producer in Joey, And then as the beginning of June, we brought on Meg as well. So we've gone from 1 to 3 in the space of a few months. And as the channel continues to grow, if we feel like we need more help, then we'll get it. But we also want to make sure that we don't hire a bunch of people and then have nothing for them to do.
Sure.
So it's a balancing act, and we don't want to grow. Yeah, we don't want. I guess we don't telegraph the growth. We just take it as it comes.
Sure. Now, changing subjects, you were previously a member of the original group of FragDolls, and we recently did a podcast on women in gaming. So I was wondering if you could tell us, A, a bit about your history with that, and B, what your stance is as an original member of what most people would consider the foremost group of women in gaming.
Well, yes, yeah, I joined the team in 2004 when it was formed. I was one of the original members. It is, to date, one of the highlights of my career, and I may very well not be in this industry at all without that. It was a lot of fun. It was actually one of the first times that I worked closely with other women who played video games. Up until that point, I was very much a tomboy. All my friends in high school were dudes, and we would have LAN parties all weekend and drink way too much Pepsi and eat way too much pizza. And that was my life. And so actually the idea of meeting other women at first intimidated me big time. I almost didn't join the team because I was worried about that. But it turned out they were amazing. And I learned so much as part of that team, both for gaming, because frankly, I'm a terrible gamer. I'm just not good at games naturally. Luckily, with 8 hours of practice a day, it's hard to not improve.
Right.
So I actually I was very proud of my skills. That's no longer the case, by the way. I'm back to being really awful because I just don't practice. I traveled all around the country. I went to these amazing tournaments and participated and met just a wealth of industry people, other competitors. I have a huge respect for esports that I gained through my membership with the team. And, we were traveling with MLG in its early years. So that was all really fantastic, and I can't say enough good about FragDolls and what I think they've done overall for women in the industry. You look at almost all of the FragDolls have gone on to other positions within the industry. It's a great launching point for women who want to get their start, because you meet so many people and you learn so many skills doing that. And
so on that, the FragDolls were an offshoot of a program launched by Ubisoft to promote Ubisoft games, but also to promote the idea of women in gaming. I want to know what your reaction was with the news from E3 that in Assassin's Creed Unity, Ubisoft did not include female characters because they simply said there was no time to do so.
From a development perspective, I absolutely understand that there are constraints and that you come down to the wire and there are certain things that you wanted to put in that you just can't put in. I was working on this costume last night and this morning, and it's at some point I just said there's supposed to be a cross up the leg, and that just had to go. And while I don't want to trivialize the importance of female characters in the game, from a development perspective, I get that at some point you have to ship it. I think that if anything, they didn't communicate that very well. Saying it's just too much work, or we don't have a voice actor, or we'd have to redo a lot of animations. It is maybe not the best way to present it. Also, I think it could be helped a lot if once we know more about how they are intending that cooperative experience. I don't think anyone's arguing that the main character, Arno, should be a female, because it's a story written around a specific character, and if that character is a male, fine, more power to you. I think what a lot of people got a little confused about is the idea of co-op. Is if you're not Arno, if you're just a supporting character in this world, there isn't a lot of fictional evidence to say, well, you can't be a girl. That comes down to purely technical. However, if you are Arno to you and someone else to everyone else, then you wouldn't be getting the benefit of the female character in any case. So I think that if they communicate how the co-op works for everyone, that might go a long way towards helping. But mostly they just presented it very poorly.
Yeah. And the final question is, with things like Know Before You Go, we mentioned, which is, for those who don't know, you briefly have one member of the Know or RT kind of talk about whatever you need to know about a new movie, TV show, before you actually see it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just the quick and dirty kind of facts behind it. In general, you mentioned a little bit before. What's that been like to transition out of the games industry to something a little more, in other forms of media? Let's leave that behind.
I do have to research a little bit more when it comes to movies and TV because that's not the industry that I've worked in for 13 years. Yeah. But luckily, the researching skills have helped a lot. Like from the video games journalism, have helped a lot in that regard. And also, mostly we're reporting on the types of movies and TV that we know and that we've seen before and we're familiar with anyway. So that also helps. It's, if anything, the balance that we walk there is actually making sure that we communicate properly that this is going to be spoiler ridden.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Obviously, we live in a very spoiler conscious online culture these days,
Oh, yeah.
and so having a show in which you intentionally tell everything that came before, we just have to make sure that we're very sensitive and say, hey, at this point, you need to tune out if you don't want to know this stuff because we're going to go all in.
Great. All right, that's all the time we have. But thank you very much for joining us. That was Ashley Jenkins, executive producer of The Know for Rooster Teeth.